You're listening to today's inspirational message on the Proverbs with Kurt Bjorklund.
Proverbs 10 gives us this juxtaposition of somebody who follows God's ways and somebody who doesn't, and it tends to talk about the rewards of trusting God with the choices that we make. And here's, if you want to follow the logic of me in chapter 10, which may not be followable, but what I'm basically looking at is I'm saying there are some ways that we choose integrity or choose righteousness inside this chapter that's bracketed around the idea of it being rewarded. And what I'd like to say is that our choices actually lead to righteousness. And I'm going to focus on two here in this session. And the first is when it says in verse 1, a wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is a sorrow to his mother. And if you had parents that were easy to honor, you're fortunate. Many of us had parents who maybe drank too much, worked too much, yelled too much. We were disappointed, let down, maybe even abused. How do you honor parents who haven't been honorable? And the choice in Proverbs is really between this idea of cursing and blessing. And the concept of a curse, and you see this in chapter 20 of Proverbs, if one curses his father or his mother, his lamp will be put out into outer darkness. And then in Proverbs 30:11, there are those who curse their fathers and do not bless their mothers. The concept of a curse is not common today as it was in ancient times, but the act of disrespecting one's parents in word or in action has been prominent for as long as there have been children and parents. Cursing ultimately involves disparaging and insulting them publicly. That's Fox's comment on this. To curse someone was to declare either publicly or privately that this person was of no account and to hold them in low esteem. So your lifestyle choices will impact the well-being of your parents, or we could just say those closest to you. And it's easy to dishonor your parents either in what you say to or about them, or in what you choose, in the way that you choose to live your life. Some parents are not honorable, which makes choosing to honor them difficult. The modern habit is to evaluate the person rather than the office. That is to be respectful to one's master or faithful to one's partner if they evoke such a response, not because it is owed to them in their position. The Old Testament law instilled the opposite attitude from childhood, and the New Testament supports it. That's Derek Kidner's comment on this. So chasing your parents' approval can be really unhealthy, especially if it's in superficial areas of our lives. But living without a moral compass or common sense brings disapproval from your parents, and it is a way in which to disregard the righteousness of God. And so the first choice I'm going to say is just to choose to bless our parents or those closest to us with our words and with the choices we make. And then the second choice is really living with integrity. Proverbs 10:9 again says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely. The NLT says, people with integrity have firm footing, but those who follow crooked paths will slip and fall. So integrity here carries the idea of wholeness and integration. We could say that living with integrity is living without any need to conceal our lives because there are no variations. So whatever it is that you feel you can't reveal to people in your lives is probably the indication of a lack of wholeness, a lack of integrity. And there are several ways that we can compromise our integrity. We can exaggerate our achievements for the acclaim of others. Maybe we'll cut corners in order to gain something for ourselves. We insist on a pleasure that's outside of its proper time or bounds. We may keep things for ourselves when giving would be helpful. We may conceal our true intentions when it would be beneficial to us to withhold information. And we may not keep our commitments or honor what we say. And when integrity fails, we can always turn to Christ and his righteousness, which is one of the things Proverbs does not communicate as clearly as the whole of Scripture. which is it holds up this mechanistic do right and good comes. But as you read through the scriptures, what you realize is in our failures, we turn to Christ and his righteousness. And clearly, integrity is something where no matter how much integrity you have, there are days when your integrity fails, and that is when we turn to Jesus in wonder and awe and receive his righteousness, his integrity on our behalf. It's credited to us. Romans 5:12 gives us this picture. So today, choose to honor those close to you with your words and actions, and to live a life of wholeness as an act of righteousness in your life.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.